There's a kind of battle that never ends. The one inside, no swords, no enemies. Just a voice that won't stop speaking. Most men fight the world, but the true warrior learns the world is only a reflection of his mind. In every movement, in every hesitation, he meets himself. The cowardice behind pride, the anger beneath control, and the fear that hides beneath every ambition. Miyamoto Musashi called it the inner war, the quiet duel between awareness and illusion. Ren, a modern warrior bound by Musashi's code, believes discipline is the cure. He trains, pushes, perfects, but beneath his mastery lies unrest. Because the scariest part of the inner war isn't losing. It's realizing that victory means killing who you think you are. This is his journey, from control to surrender, from the noise of perfection to the silence of presence. The path begins where most men stop, where the sword meets stillness, and the enemy is no longer outside, but within. Chapter 1, The Code of the Blade. The dawn air tastes of iron and rain. Inside the dojo, a single candle burns, its flame straight, unmoving, disciplined. Ren mirrors it. Still spine, steady breath, blade resting across his knees. The world outside this wooden hall belongs to the weak, men who chase comfort, who bend under noise. Ren believes he is not one of them. He has mastered control. His life is ordered by ritual. Wake before the sun, train before the thought. He sharpens his sword as he sharpens his mind, daily, relentlessly, without hesitation. He calls it strength. But beneath that precision lies something hollow, unseen, unspoken. When he moves, the blade slices through air with perfect geometry, no wasted motion, no hesitation. But after each cut, silence follows, not the silence of peace, but of absence. He bows to the blade, yet it never bows back. It reflects nothing but his own discipline. And in that reflection, he begins to feel the first fracture. Outside, the wind stirs the bamboo grove. Its sound is effortless, natural, free. Ren watches it sway and feels irritation rise. How can something so chaotic move with more grace than he does in his precision? His teacher's words return. A blade can be sharp, Ren. But if the wielder clings too tightly, it cuts him first. At the time, he dismissed it as philosophy. Now it echoes like prophecy. Every movement of his day is rehearsed perfection. The cleaning of his armor, the folding of his robe, the timing of his breath. But the more perfect he becomes, the less alive he feels. Discipline was meant to free him. Instead, it's become a cage disguised as honor, a system that tells him what to do, and in return steals the question of why. When night falls, Ren sits alone, blade beside him, tea cooling on the table. The candle burns to its base. The wax pools like melted resolve. He wonders quietly, dangerously, what remains when the ritual ends. If the sword defines him, what is he without it? That thought alone terrifies him more than any enemy. He remembers the old scrolls, Musashi's 5 rings. He has memorized every word, every principle. But mastery, he realizes, was never in the words. It was in the silence between them. He looks again at the blade. Its edge gleams under the faint moonlight, perfect, cold, empty. It reflects his face, steady, unreadable, and yet behind that stillness, the tremor of something human. A voice within whispers, the sword moves flawlessly, but the spirit trembles. He grips the hilt tighter, as if control could silence doubt, but the harder he holds, the more the tremor grows. Outside, the wind howls through the bamboo. The candle flickers, fighting to stay lit. Ren watches it, And for a moment he sees himself in that flame, controlled, contained, yet one breath away from extinguishing. He exhales, the flame steadies, but something inside him begins to waver, a small realization breaking through the armor of repetition. Maybe perfection is just fear wearing discipline's mask. He sheathes his sword and stands before the door. The night is vast, the forest alive, and for the first time, the stillness feels heavy. He senses that Musashi's true code isn't about control. It's about release. The lesson has begun. Chapter 2, The Cracks in Steel. The next morning, the sky bleeds red before dawn, a warning more than a welcome. Ren rises with the same precision as every day before. Fold the futon, cleanse the blade, steady the mind. But something inside him feels off. The rhythm is still there, yet the music beneath it has changed. He walks to the courtyard. The air is sharp with the scent of wet earth and pine. He breathes deep, not to calm himself, but to measure the distance between control and collapse. His opponent stands across from him, a younger warrior, eyes eager, shoulders tense. Ren bows. The duel begins. For the first few exchanges, everything is textbook. Strike, deflect, advance, retreat. Motion without thought, precision without emotion. But then a crack appears and a hesitation no one sees but him. The blade slips just slightly, and his opponent's strike grazes his shoulder. It's shallow, a cut meant for the body, but it lands on the ego. Ren's calm fractures. The sound of bamboo swaying returns in his mind, mocking him. The effortless rhythm of nature that never needed discipline. He presses harder, each strike faster, more desperate, more personal. But the more he tries to reclaim mastery, the further it slips away. The duel ends with a draw. No victory, no defeat, only the sharp taste of humiliation. The younger warrior bows deeply, whispering, "Thank you, master." But to Ren, the words sound like pity. He returns to his quarters, the cut still bleeding through his robe. He unwraps it carefully, staring at the thin red line. It's not the wound that hurts, it's what it represents. He remembers Musashi's teaching, if you know the way broadly, you will see it in everything. Yet in this small mistake, Ren sees only narrowness. His mastery of form has blinded him to essence. He has built a temple of precision, but the spirit within it is starving. He sits before the mirror, staring into his reflection. For years he believed this image was unbreakable, forged through pain, honed through repetition. But now, under the surface, he sees it, the hairline fracture in his composure. A single truth flickers. He's been fighting not for mastery, but for identity. Later that evening, he kneels in the dojo once more, sword before him, head bowed. He listens to the creak of wood, the whisper of wind, the pulse beneath his ribs. For the first time, he doesn't hear discipline. He hears fear, not fear of death nor of defeat, but the fear of being ordinary. Every swing, every ritual, every victory, a desperate attempt to prove he exists. He realizes this is the true battle Musashi meant. Not blade against blade, but spirit against self-deception. He lowers his head, shame washing over him. He thought discipline would make him invincible, but it only made him brittle. Outside, thunder rolls across the mountain range, distant yet commanding. It reminds him of his teacher's words from years ago. Steel hardens under fire, but too much heat and it cracks. He looks at his sword. The edge glows faintly under the lightning's flash. Beautiful, flawless, fragile. Ren understands now. Perfection is not indestructibility, it's awareness of how easily one can break. He exhales slowly, closing his eyes. The silence no longer feels empty. It feels honest. The steel may crack, but the spirit behind it must learn to bend. Bachun, Chapter 3. The voice that commands night presses against the paper walls like a second skin. Ren sits cross-legged on the floor, sword resting beside him, eyes closed, or pretending to be. Outside, the crickets hum. Inside, his mind screams. He came here for silence. But silence, he realizes, is not the absence of noise. It's the presence of everything you've been running from. The voice begins, faint but sharp. You hesitated today. He breathes. You've grown weak. He exhales. You've lost the edge. And though he knows the voice is his own, it doesn't sound like him anymore. This voice has followed him for years, whispering during training, judging every motion, commanding perfection. He once thought it was his discipline. Now he sees it's his master. He tries to ignore it. The more he resists, the louder it gets. The mind is clever. When you fight it, it recruits your strength against you. He opens his eyes. The room is dimly lit, his shadow stretching across the tatami like another version of himself, darker, restless, unstill. He stares at the shadow. It stares back. He remembers something his old teacher once said before vanishing into the mountains. Your enemy will not come from outside, Ren. It will speak from within, wearing your own voice. At the time, he thought it was metaphor. Now he understands it was warning. He takes a slow breath, letting it fill his chest. The voice interrupts again. Yao, you think breathing will fix this? He exhales. The voice sneers. You're wasting time. Real warriors act, not sit. Ren smiles faintly. For the first time, he doesn't argue, he just listens. And in that listening, something shifts. He begins to see it, the pattern. The voice always starts with truth, then twists it into fear. It pretends to protect him. It says, train harder, but means you're not enough. It says you stay sharp, but means you'll fall behind. Every order is coded in anxiety, every command laced with threat. He realizes he has lived his entire life obeying this voice, the invisible commander of his thoughts. Even his discipline was its invention. It gave him purpose, but stole his peace. He rises slowly, walking into the sliding door. Outside, the moon hangs heavy, fractured by drifting clouds. Its reflection trembles in the pond, perfect yet broken. He kneels beside it, gazing at the ripples. The voice hisses again, you're wasting time. He whispers back, then let the time waste me. The words surprise him. They don't sound defiant, they sound free. The voice goes quiet. He watches the pond until the ripples vanish, until the reflection becomes still once more. And then, beneath the stillness, he hears something new, the faint rhythm of his own heartbeat, steady and alive. He finally understands what Musashi meant when he wrote, "The way is in training, but the enemy is in thought." Ren bows to the water, not as a master, but as a student again. He knows this battle won't be won by control, it will be won by recognition, because what you can see, you no longer obey. Chapter 4, The Monk of Mirrors. The mountain path twists like an old scar, silent, cold, and patient. Ren walks with the weight of his sword, though he hasn't drawn it in weeks. The world below has become unbearable noise, and when the noise outside mirrors the noise within, one must climb. He doesn't know why he came here, only that something is calling beyond exhaustion, beyond victory. The forests are draped in mist, and the air hums with the scent of cedar and rain. Every step feels like shedding, ambition, pride, even name. By dusk, he reaches the temple. It's small, half swallowed by moss and time. A single monk sweeps the courtyard, each stroke slow, deliberate, almost invisible in its purpose. Ren stops. "Master," he says quietly, "I seek silence." The monk doesn't look up. "You seek what?" "Peace," Ren answers. "Stillness." The monk smiles faintly, eyes fixed on the broom. "Then stop chasing noise in slower motion." Ren frowns. "I've trained my whole life to control the mind." "And that," the monk replies, "is why you have none." They sit together under the eaves as rain begins to fall. Ren's impatience leaks through his breath. He wants answers, a system, a path, something to do. The monk pours tea. The sound of liquid striking clay echoes like a bell. "Watch the cup," the monk says. Ren watches. Steam rises, curling like a ghost into the cold air. "Tell me," the monk asks softly, "where does the steam go?" Ren opens his mouth to answer, then stops. He doesn't know. The monk chuckles. "Exactly. You watch it vanish, but you do not chase it. That is peace." Later, the monk leads him to a pool behind the temple. The surface is still perfectly reflecting the gray sky. "Look," he says. Ren kneels, staring at his reflection. "What do you see?" "Myself." The monk tilts his head. "Do you, or only the thought of yourself?" Ren looks deeper. The water trembles, distorting his face. He realizes something simple and terrifying. The image he has been defending all his life isn't him. It's just the reflection of noise shaped into a person. The monk tosses a pebble into the pond. Ripples distort the reflection again. "When the surface moves, you call it chaos," the monk says. "But it is only water being water." Ren whispers, "Then how do I still the mind?" The monk laughs. "You don't still it, you stop believing every ripple is real." The wind passes through the bamboo, and for the first time in years, Ren doesn't think. He listens, not for words, for space. In that moment, the pond clears, the ripples fade, and the reflection returns. Not his face, but something larger, stillness watching itself. He exhales, eyes wet, not from sorrow, but relief. As the rain deepens, the monk says one last thing before leaving. "Silence isn't something you enter, warrior. It's what remains when you stop trying to leave it." Ren stays there long after the monk is gone, staring into the pond. He sees the storm above reflected perfectly below. Two worlds, one motion, no separation. He bows deeply to the reflection, to the illusion, to the truth within it. Chapter 5. The Sound Beneath Silence. Morning breaks through the fog like breath through still air. The temple bells have not yet rung, but Ren is already awake. His hands grip the broom, the same one the monk once held. Each stroke across the courtyard feels deliberate, like writing something invisible into the earth. The sound of the broom against stone is soft, rhythmic, almost musical, but beneath it, a deeper sound, a kind of silence that hums as though the mountain itself is breathing. He pauses, listening. Wind drifts through the pine trees. Water trickles from the bamboo spout into the basin. Birds stir faintly in the mist. No single sound demands attention, yet together they form a harmony. And for the first time, Ren realizes silence isn't the absence of sound, it's the space that holds all sound. The monk appears behind him as if drawn from the fog itself. "Why did you stop sweeping?" Ren bows. I heard something. What? Everything, Ren says softly. The monk's eyes glint. Then you are finally beginning to listen. They walk together toward the edge of the mountain. Below, the valley breathes in clouds and exhales rivers. You see, the monk begins, most men hear only what they expect. Noise fits their story of chaos, so they call the world loud. But when you listen without a listener, even chaos sings. Ren tilts his head, without a listener. The monk smiles faintly. When the ear is empty, sound becomes truth. That night, Ren sits outside his small chamber. No lanterns, no fire, only starlight faintly shimmering through clouds. He listens again. At first, he hears the usual, crickets, rustle of leaves, his own heartbeat. But beneath it all, there's something steady, something constant. A pulse that doesn't belong to him, yet includes him. He breathes in, matching the rhythm, and then the boundary dissolves. The wind no longer brushes against him, it moves through him. The night isn't around him, it is him. He feels the forest breathe, the stars hum, the stillness between them alive with motion. It's not mystical, it's precise, like seeing the machinery of existence working in silence. In that moment, he remembers something the monk once whispered. You are not a man standing in silence. You are silence standing as a man. Tears rise, unbidden, not sorrow, not joy. Recognition. The sound beneath sound isn't external. It's the echo of awareness itself. When he finally opens his eyes, dawn has already begun to bloom. He doesn't know how long he's been there. Time doesn't feel like time anymore. It feels like a river he stopped trying to swim in. He returns to the courtyard. The broom waits, still leaning where he left it. He lifts it again, not to work, but to witness. Each sweep now feels like prayer. Each breath, a continuation of the silence that never ends. The monk watches him from afar, smiling faintly. The boy who once chased mastery has begun to dissolve into presence. The sword was his first teacher, the silence, his second. Now the sound beneath silence becomes his third, a voice older than thought, speaking through everything that breathes.